There's a theory that the Omnitrix is alive, that every wrong alien Ben ever got wasn't a glitch, it was a test. There's a theory that Ghostfreak was influencing Ben's actions from inside the watch long before he escaped, that Kevin had an alien Ghost King's consciousness riding in his body and nobody knew, that Ben destroyed the entire universe and rebuilt it, but the copy isn't perfect, and the people around him, they might not be the originals. These are the craziest Ben 10 theories that fans have exposed, and some of them were confirmed by the creators themselves. 1. The watch is alive. You know how the Omnitrix keeps giving Ben the wrong alien? Here's what fans noticed. It never makes a lethal mistake. You never get Ripjaws in the desert. Never a water alien on a volcano. It times out at the worst moment, but recharges right when Ben's about to die. Every single time. Now here's the real evidence. The Omnitrix's own prototype, the Unitrix, became a living person. Her name is Eunice.
I can't change.
Never change.
And the Galvans already accidentally created an entire sentient species with their tech, the Mechamorphs. So what if the Omnitrix did the same thing? What if every wrong transformation was the watch forcing Ben to think instead of just punching? Ben reaches for forearms. The watch says no. Ben gets something weird. Ben wins anyway. And in the series finale, it's basically confirmed. The Omnitrix has a failsafe that cycles through every alien until it finds one that survives a Big Bang. That's not a glitch, that's a mind. And what that mind allowed to happen changes everything about this show. 2. Everyone Ben loves is dead. The Annihilarg goes off. The entire universe is destroyed. Not damaged, destroyed. Ben uses Alien X to rebuild it from scratch. He says it's an exact copy, except it's not. His hoodie changed color. The Mr. Smoothie logo is different. If he couldn't replicate a logo, how did he replicate the consciousness of trillions of living beings? The Celestial Sapiens dragged Ben to intergalactic court over this. They knew. Gwen, Kevin, Max, his mom and dad, they all died when that universe collapsed. The people around him now are reconstructions, copies who don't know they're copies. And Ben? He's the only original left. When he tries to tell Rook and Argit what happened, they don't believe him, so he stops bringing it up. He just carries it, alone. The last real person in a universe full of replicas. Ben's not the only one who's been carrying something dangerous inside him. 3. Ghostfreak was controlling Ben. Every time Ben transformed into Ghostfreak, something was off. He said it himself. Using that form always creeped him out. And the show tells us exactly why. Zs'Skayr, the Ectonorite High Ectolord, had his full consciousness embedded in the Omnitrix DNA. His species stores personality in every single strand, so every Ghostfreak transformation was a shared body. Canon confirms Zs'Skayr secretly hijacked one of those transformations to contact Dr. Victor and plan his escape. Nobody caught it. But here's the real question. When Ghostfreak fought Zombozo, he was so terrifying the clown literally exploded from fear. Was that a 10-year-old kid? Or was that an alien Deathlord unleashing himself through a child's body? The show says Ghostfreak would go out of his way to intimidate and use moves that were more lethal in intent. That's not Ben's personality. That's something else wearing his skin. And Ben wasn't the only person Zs'Skayr was hiding inside. 4. Kevin's hidden passenger. When Kevin absorbed the Omnitrix and mutated into Kevin 11, he gained the powers of all 10 aliens, including Ghostfreak. And Ectonorite consciousness lives in every strand of DNA. Creator Duncan Rouleau confirmed it directly. Kevin technically had Zs'Skayr's consciousness inside him. That's on the official wiki, not speculation. So Kevin's spiral from angry kid to violent sociopath, his obsession with killing Ben, his total loss of control, that wasn't just a troubled boy snapping. That was a child being psychically corrupted by an alien Ghost King whispering inside his mutated body. Not Max, not Gwen, not even Kevin himself ever knew it was happening. If you're still watching, subscribe now because these theories only get worse. 5. The Ultimates were torture victims. The Ultimatrix doesn't just upgrade aliens. It runs simulated evolutionary scenarios, millions of years of warfare, extinction, and predation compressed into seconds. That's how ultimate forms are made.
Do you think we're fools?
Beings forged through endless simulated suffering. And then they woke up. They remembered the wars. They realized they were prisoners, summoned, used, dismissed. In the ultimate sacrifice, they drag Ben inside the Ultimatrix and try to burn him alive while chanting, "Burn, burn, burn." But they weren't the villains. They were the victims. Ben agreed. He walked into the fire willingly. The Ultimatrix recognized his sacrifice and freed them all. But here's the layer nobody talks about. Albedo built the Ultimatrix. He knew about the flaw. And his nightmares show his own alien forms marching toward him, because he's the one who made them suffer. The guy who actually sent the Omnitrix to Earth had his own reasons for keeping quiet. 6. Azimuth chose every alien. Pop-up trivia from the original series confirmed something wild. Azimuth was watching Ben through the Omnitrix the whole time, and he has wireless access to the device, shown on screen in Alien Force. So here's the theory. He wasn't just watching, he was overriding Ben's selections. A 10-year-old keeps slamming the same brute force alien. The smartest being in the galaxy picks something better, and the pattern holds up. Mistransformations drop when Ben matures. They spike when Ben breaks the Omnitrix, Azimuth's way of punishing him. They disappear entirely when Azimuth hands Ben the perfected version, because the test was finally over. Every wrong alien wasn't bad luck. It was a lesson plan from the first thinker himself. But Azimuth isn't the only one running experiments on Ben's closest friends. 7. Kevin's identity was manufactured. Everything Kevin believed about himself was a lie. All of it. Osmosians aren't aliens, they're mutant humans. The planet Osmos 5? Invented, never existed. Kevin's father, Devin Levin? A false memory, planted directly in Grandpa Max's brain by Cervantes, so Max would watch Kevin without ever knowing why. The Plumber kids, Alan, Helen, Manny, weren't alien hybrids. They were human children who had alien DNA forced into them using Kevin's own absorption powers. And Agregor, the main villain of an entire season? A clone of Kevin. His species, his homeworld, his father, his entire purpose, all authored by a rogue plumber faction that only ever saw him as a weapon. Kevin spent his whole childhood thinking he was a freak. He was right, but he was wrong about every single reason why. Which theory hit you the hardest so far? Tell me in the comments. 8. Ben was addicted to feedback. Ben's obsession with feedback mirrors real addiction, beat for beat. He chose feedback over better-suited aliens. He ignored strategy. He pushed people away. Azimuth personally showed up to warn him that overusing feedback would damage his ability to control other forms. That's dependency. That's tolerance. Then malware destroyed feedback. And Ben didn't bounce back. He fell into depression, went secretive, refused to talk about it. Eventually, he took off the Omnitrix entirely. The fan theory adds one more detail. Feedback's energy absorption gave Ben an actual neurochemical rush. The high was partly physical. A kid's cartoon just showed us denial, escalation, withdrawal, and rock bottom. Azimuth's warning was an intervention. Losing feedback was the consequence. Ben took off the watch because he needed to get clean. What came next in Ben's future is even harder to look at. 9. Something destroyed Ben 10,000. Future Ben is hollow. No humor, no warmth. He stopped naming his aliens. He barely sees Max or Gwen anymore. He turned heroism into a mechanical routine. The show's creators confirmed it.
Ben, where's Paradox?
A defining tragedy hit Ben's life. Originally placed at age 15, later moved to 20. We never see it on screen. That gap is deliberate. But the proof is in the silence. The single most joyful, childlike part of Ben's character, naming his aliens, just vanishes. Whatever he lost, it didn't just hurt him, it carved out everything that made him Ben. Hit subscribe if this series is changing how you see this show. And if you thought that was dark, the mythology hiding under this franchise goes deeper than anyone expected. 10 Earth had its own Cthulhu. Dagon is pulled straight from Lovecraft, an extra-dimensional conqueror, 100 dimensions enslaved, a giant octopus with a cult worshipping him on Earth. The Forever Knights spent centuries fighting what they called dragons. But the word wasn't dragon, it was Dagon, a 1,000-year misunderstanding fossilized into language itself. And here's the part nobody processes. Dagon won. He turned every human being on Earth into a mind-controlled puppet. Total enslavement. The only reason Earth survived? Vilgax backstabbed him to steal his power. Humanity wasn't saved by a hero. It was saved because one villain was greedier than the other. And Earth's alien history goes back even further than that. 11 Earth's monsters were real aliens. Vampires, werewolves, mummies, ghosts, Frankenstein's monster. Every one of them exists in Ben 10 as a real alien species from the Aenir system. Vladats are vampires. Loboans are werewolves. Ectonerites are ghosts. Transilians are Frankenstein. The theory says they visited Earth centuries ago and terrorized humans so deeply they became our mythology. Egyptian mummification, possibly inspired by actual alien biology. Vampire legends across every culture. Vladat feeding patterns written into folklore. Our entire horror genre might be ancient memory of real alien contact. And the scariest part? Some of them might still be here. And the kid who ended up with the Omnitrix was never supposed to have it. 12. The Omnitrix rejected Max. The Omnitrix was designed for Grandpa Max. Azimuth considered him the greatest plumber in the galaxy and sent the watch to Earth specifically for him. But when Vilgax attacked the transport, the pod was jettisoned. Here's what most people miss. On screen, the Omnitrix changes its trajectory mid-flight. It doesn't just land near Ben, it steers itself toward him. It chose. Max and Ben share Tennyson DNA, but the watch had two options: a seasoned veteran or a 10-year-old kid with no training and unlimited potential. It picked the child, the one it could shape for decades. But being chosen by the most powerful weapon in the universe comes with a price nobody mentions. 13. Ben can never die. The series finale. The Omnitrix failsafe activates. It cycles through every alien until it finds one that can survive a Big Bang. Ben says he always knew it was there. So the question is simple. Can Ben ever actually die? The watch will always find a way to keep him alive. Sounds like a superpower. Now think about what it really means. Ben can never sacrifice himself, never make a true final stand, never choose to die for someone he loves. The watch will override him every time. His survival is not his decision. He's either the most protected hero alive or a prisoner fused to a machine that cares more about itself than his choices. Ben does die to the Chronosapien time bomb, so it's not perfect, but the question never goes away. What does it mean to be a hero when you're never allowed to fall? These last two theories might be the hardest to hear. 14. Kevin will always relapse. Every Osmosian who absorbs energy goes insane. Kevin as a child. Kevin as Ultimate Kevin. Egregor. It's not emotional, it's biological. Raw energy absorption creates an insatiable hunger that turns them into sociopaths. Kevin switched to matter absorption because it's safer, but he's not cured. He's managing. Creator Derek J. Wyatt said it plainly. Kevin sometimes goes evil and does irredeemable things. Ben and Gwen can try to minimize how often, but it will happen. Kevin's redemption isn't a happy ending. It's a holding pattern. His friends aren't just his teammates, they're his handlers. And the final theory shows exactly what happens when someone like Kevin never had anyone at all. 15. Charmcaster is Gwen without love. Charmcaster was designed to be everything Gwen could have become. Creator Duncan Rouleau confirmed it, built specifically as her dark counterpart. Both wield mana. Both carry enormous power. The only difference is who raised them. Gwen had Max, Ben, a family that loved her. Charmcaster had Hex, an abusive uncle who turned her into a weapon. She watched her father get murdered. She grew up alone, furious, and desperate. Her worst act, she sacrificed 600,000 souls to an elder god just to bring her father back. And when Spellbinder was resurrected, he looked at what his daughter had done and chose to return to death rather than accept it. That is the single darkest moment in the franchise. And the question it asks is the one that stays. If Gwen had lost everything, every person who kept her grounded, would she have done the exact same thing? Ben 10 gave us a kid with a watch and a summer road trip. But underneath that, a sentient device training its host, a ghost king riding inside children, an entire universe of dead copies, and a boy who may never be allowed to die. This franchise has been hiding some of the darkest writing in animation history in plain sight. And the scariest part? Some of these theories were confirmed by the people who made the show. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this. And tell me, which Ben 10 theory do you think is the one that's definitely true?